All right, we're live. This is what we're doing right here. No pregame screen on. We're live. We're back. We're inside the damn box. And what a friggin' week to do that here on the Brian Campbell Experience, if you know what I'm talking about, okay? We got to look back at the greatest fight card that ever happened, all right? We got to look at what went down in Japan this week, and we got to look ahead to all things Tank Davis and the return of your boy BC. Hey, it's Brian Campbell. Look at me. I'm looking at you. That guy next to me, that way, that guy's got a stash and a half from New York City. It's Rafe Bartholomew. Rafa, I'm so excited on this Tuesday morning to be inside the box, particularly with another man.
How many boxes have you been in with other men, Brian?
I don't think that we should go that deep in the conversation.
All right. Well, look, I was gonna say to this week, I'm coming in as Kid New York, in an homage to the ultimate jacker Floyd Schofield, because I mean I jacked after that fight. I jacked right
after. I mean, you, dude, I'm jacking. Talk, about jacking, sir. Okay, I've seen what you're doing over by the hot dog stand. If you know what I'm saying. Rafe, do you want to speak to the people? Yes, does it seem like Floyd Schofield Jr. officially jacked now that he's gone from hospital picks to training again in like 2 days?
I have not watched his social media. Look, as far as I'm concerned, this is an excuse to never have to pay attention to Floyd Schofield for another 5 years, probably. Wow. If he makes his way back onto a decent stage, then I'll pay attention. But yeah, he jacked. We said, look, if you run back the tape, I was calling the shots as I see him. Brian, you know this. I know this game.
Yes,
you gotta listen when I talk, Brian. I know this game like the great Larry Holmes from Eaton, Pennsylvania. Now, I said he's jacking. As soon as you that news broke while we were recording last week, I said he's jacking. He jacked.
You were right. You called it. You see a jacker, you know a jacker, probably because
takes one
you
to
are
know one.
A jacker. Okay. Do you want to? Well, first of all. Do you want to address the fact that the card is subject to change, but the people that they wanted Rafe on Saturday and they couldn't get him. All right.
What does that mean?
I don't know. The people wanted to hear your thoughts.
Oh, no, they didn't. I'm sure they didn't. Don't worry.
On that slice of turkey that we got all day Saturday. All right.
If Turkey want to pay me to show up, then I will be there. That's otherwise, I will. It's always a game time decision with me.
Yeah, you had your hands deep in liquid crack, I'm sure, and your mouth as well. But happy to be back inside the box. Happy to be here February 25th, 2025. Yes, we're talking about now. Can it be called the last crescendo when Betterbiev Bivol 2 only produced a potential trilogy fight? There's got to be one more crescendo after that, right?
Did anyone ever, what would the point be to even hear the explanation? But did anyone ever ask Turkey or whoever it comes up with the names of these cards for him, what they were going for with the last crescendo, why they thought that was a good title for anything? And of course it wasn't the last crescendo. It don't make it, the whole thing doesn't make any sense. I don't get it's not even a cool title. Anyway, look, I'm not pulling money out of the ground and throwing it around. So what do I know?
They pulled $4 million out of the sand to get Bacoli's fat ass to that card. What do you believe what Natter says right here? Could Turkey afford Rafe?
I beg to differ, Natter. I bet he could. I bet he could afford every single one of us talking, listening. He could buy us all real quick, tight, like quick, fast. Like Ramadan, as Biggie once said.
Did you, in fact, watch this fight card and the 7 bouts that were advertised?
I have watched the 7 bouts. Did I watch the card on Saturday? Maybe I did. So I watched Bivol-Beterbiev 2 on Saturday. I attended. I did not play. I went to a basketball game in the early afternoon and missed most of the good fights. Got back just in time for Shakur Stevenson against some bloke I never bothered to learn his name.
Plasterer of the
from the local council. Yes, that bloke. Watched 2 rounds of that, said, forget this, I'm walking my dog. Came back, saw Martin Bacoli go down from the equilibrium shot. And, but hey, the main event was great. And when I caught up on the rest of the card, I was not at all disappointed.
Yeah, all in all, I very much enjoyed Saturday, even with the length, the pacing picked up. But I don't know if you saw Luke Thomas's aggressiveness on Morning Combat, although I don't disagree with it. When you talk about the idea of, you said going down, a lot of boxing was going down on El Turk publicly over the weekend, including on the broadcast. Does that stuff bother you? Because I'm at my limit of full on glaze. Like, look, this fight card ruled. Even with the changes, it ruled. But like, there's got to be a limit to the amount of fellatio on air that we're willing to do. Should there be? I mean,
look, I mean, I might be charged of, accused of hypocrisy if I were out here saying that I haven't watched a lot of that act on my computer screen over the years. So to see a little bit more of it during boxing, it's not the end of the world. No, look, I think it's whack. It's corny. We're going to give this to you. These great fights, these fights you want to see. It's good for the sport. It's ultimately worth it, but it sucks to feel like certainly the people who are being paid to cover and call the fights, as well as, even though obviously the fans aren't being paid to do it, there's this expectation. Well, don't you have to admit that this is the greatest thing that ever happened? Like, you need to sit here and genuflect at the knee and kiss the ring. Yes. That is whack. It's corny. It's something I'm glad I don't have to do and probably won't be considered to do. Not because I'm too dangerous. They never Rafe. No, because I'm nobody and they don't care. Like they're not going to ask me because I have nothing. I have no upside to offer. But still, I'm glad that I don't have to do that because if they pay me to, I'd probably be doing it too. I get it. Like there's not enough. Like it's not. If they're paying you as well as some of these people probably are being paid, I get why they do it. But it sucks. It's corny. I think it's below anyone, and it's below the person. It's below Turkey. I think. I mean, obviously he begs to differ, but that's crazy. These what he has done just in terms of boxing, remove the concerns and the concern trolling about sports washing, about whether how people may feel about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as a geopolitical blah blah blah. Remove all that. What he is doing in boxing is really good. Yes. For boxing fans, for boxing overall, is an unequivocal net positive. So the praise would come regardless. You don't need to force or lean on people to kiss your ass for this because it's worth the praise in the first place. So just chill, relax, try to be cool. I know you can't, but just try, and people will actually like you more.
It's different, I believe, from the thank you Al Heyman era that we went through with PBC fighters, because they were like, oh my God, thank you for paying me more than I've ever been paid before and like treating me with dignity. This is the rest of boxing. This is like the media, the broadcasters. It's interesting, but that's where we're at in 2025. And as you said, the good news is we got a great fight card on Saturday, even with the changes, even with the move to the smaller arena, which I don't love. I would like a rowdier atmosphere. But I popped for seeing, AJ, Usyk, all these stars at ringside just enjoying the fights and reacting. I love that. I love the royalty that Turkey brings to these fights. I don't need, per se, the multi-million-dollar action trailer commercials. But all in all, it feels like the sport is attempting to constantly put more lipstick on that pig. And some of it I'm greatly enjoying. So let's talk about what we did love and enjoy in this fight card. And the main event, of course, the light heavyweight undisputed clash, the rematch. And Rafe, I don't need to tell you that this was another close, technical, high-paced, brilliant fight between two all-timers that are seemingly destined to head for a third. Same scores as the first fight, but inverted. Majority decision for Dmitry Bivol. Did the judges get it right in your eyes? And what did you learn about Katie's ex in the biggest fight of his life?
I scored it a draw, 114-114. I thought that compared to the first fight, this was a easier fight to score. There weren't as many rounds that left me feeling like, what the fuck am I supposed to do right now? I've never been more confused about trying to say who fought better in those 3 minutes than I've ever felt. And I felt like that they're probably half of the first fight were those kind of rounds. This one, it's like this, it's almost like Bivol and Beterbiev traded off having their moments, and they had those sections of the fight that each controlled pretty clearly, and then they traded down the stretch. And look, if I scored it a draw and Bivol won this time, I think that's completely justified. And I think if any fighter was gonna win this one, if the scorecards aren't exactly what I had, then Bivol winning did feel correct to me. He fought really well. So these guys are so close, right? I mean, there's almost nothing separating them. I think they could keep doing this. I think the fight will look the same over and over again until either Beterbiev, his age catches up with him, or Bivol ages into or Bivol ages first because he's already in his mid-30s, and Beterbiev might just be a machine.
How does Beterbiev always have better stamina in the 12th round? I shouldn't say always, because we've only seen him in the 12th round twice, right? But both Bivol fights, Beterbiev is the fresher fighter later, whether he's coming off knee surgery or he's 40 or not. He's a freak of nature. So Bivol, to now have wins over Canelo, Beterbiev, who was undefeated, he already broke his knockout streak, 34 years old. Dude, we're watching an all-time great in front of our eyes. I didn't, and it's not that I didn't know that coming in, but I know you scored it even. I know it's possible to have it 7-5 Beterbiev. It was that close of a fight, but I saw Bivol, a guy who I thought win the first fight, figure out how to fight even better the second time, improve his stamina, change slightly some of his tactics. Dude, that was such a brilliant performance. But to your initial point, I'm not sure there's any two other light heavyweights who could put on this perfect of a fight against each other, with the defense, the countering, the technique, the attitude, the pace, the balls. Damn, man. Damn.
They are so dangerous. And just the number of times that Bivol caught or weathered or deflected that sort of sweeping right that Beterbiev will throw to sort of keep you in place, right? Bivol's trying to circle out, and all of a sudden that meat hook comes, and that thing is just you hear it through the TV screen, through your laptop, wherever you are, and it just sounds like someone taking a baseball bat to a side of beef. And
yes.
And Bivol, knew it was coming, was able to deal with that, and just you and Luke talked about this on Morning Combat, the amount the sort of the skill, the defense, the way that these two extremely dangerous, talented fighters that bring different attributes and different sort of different versions of a complete offensive arsenal into the ring against each other, manage to stand there or move around each other and fight essentially to a stalemate again, or not a stalemate, but so close, razor thin, 7-5 majority decision, could be a draw type fight. While there's almost like a lack of drama, because they're both
yes.
No one can ever get the upper hand definitively. And this one did feel like it had fewer really dramatic swings.
I agree.
I do agree. There were, but still, it just, as we talk about master classes when one fighter outclasses another, yes, and sort of pitches a shutout. But we got to come up with some similar term for these kind of fights where you have two of the very best fighters in the world bringing their A game and challenging each other in a 1,000 different ways over the course of 36 minutes, 24 rounds over 2 fights. It's a great thing to watch for the sport.
It's the best advertisement for why the best need to always fight the best. And if that's ultimately what Turkey's going to give us in this era, then hell yeah. Because that sound I ran on Morning Combat of Bivol backstage talking to the Ring magazine and saying this fight was only this great because of that great fighter across pushing me to be this, exactly. I think it's the same argument with Shakur Stevenson, and we're going to get into it, and I protect him all the time, and people hate me for that, but it's until we see somebody like Tank walking that guy down, we're not actually going to see how great he is. Here you have two bosses at the end of the video game that just keep pushing each other to a highest level. I mean, for Beterbiev to put off that 12th round where he cuts Bivol and he's just on that ass, it shows you the true champion inside. But critical question, do we need Sal Pal in here? Did Beterbiev slightly blow his load in rounds 4 through 6 in your eyes?
That's possible. So my bigger question about 4 through 6 is what happened to Bivol, right? Because the broadcast I caught was the top blokes from the UK calling it, and I agreed with them.
I got caught in that. But did you find? I found out from a tweet from Christina Poncher that if you hit back on the DAZN menu, they had the American version. So
I ain't got that DAZN shit.
You watch it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
No, I mean, what is it? PPV? I don't look. I got it.
Geocities.moscow.blogspot.
In any case, I was watching that their call of the fight, and I agreed with what they were saying in those rounds, where it seemed like Bivol had been hurt or he looked like he might have had an injury to his right hand because he stopped throwing it, was really just blocking, trying to it looked like he was in survival mode. What did I do that?
I think you did that. I think
how did that happen?
I did not do that. That's wild. Wow.
All right. Thank you for the fireworks. Even Streamcast loves me.
You should do it again, dude.
I'll see if I can. I'll see what I can do. It's like pleasing a woman when it works out. You're like, oh, did I do that? And I hope it happens again someday. Yeah, I think. No, and those rounds 4 through 6. What do you think? My question is really what was going on with Bivol that he sort of went into a shell and didn't, and those were the 3 rounds that he didn't fight the way he fought the entire rest of the night, where he would, he made that strategic adjustment and came in with that game plan of every time Betterbiev, lands on me or initiates offense, I'm going to answer immediately with a combination and, halt his momentum and get the, and immediately, put it in the judge's minds that no, I'm still in this fight. He's not bossing me around the ring. But
didn't Bivol look like he was going out? He looked like he was going out in those rounds. He looked like he was close. He was exhausted.
Right. I don't know. Has there been reporting on it? It seems like Bivol came, sort of flipped the switch in round 7 and fought, lights out for the rest of the fight. So everyone, that whole narrative about what happened in 4 through 6 kind of faded. I still would like to know because he was a different fighter for 3 rounds. I don't know, if Betterbiev maybe caught him with something early in the 4th round that slowed him down.
What do you think about Arturo saying Bivol hurt his right hand and elbow and Betterbiev was punching his arms a lot?
I would believe that. And also the way that Betterbiev, when he blocks body punches, kind of like he just brings that elbow down on it. And I'm like, oh, that must hurt so much to punch that elbow. Like that man is made of, he's like, Betterbiev is like in the Wolverine family. Like he is related to one of those dudes. He's
it's not new to you, his training videos, but have you watched his training videos? Like, holy crap.
He pulls out a new trick every time. Like, what do you
He throws dumbbells up in the air and catches them and then does these push-ups on his knuckles to hands to up to, I think he stands on his finger.
Yeah, right. He has a future in Cirque du Soleil if he wants it.
Yes, indeed. And by the way, as that chat member said, shout out to Windsor, Connecticut's Iceman John Scully being in that corner. You know what I mean? Of Betterbiev. That's
and so with the injuries to the hand that he sort of had to weather 4 through 6, to see Bivol come back and just like either it numbed up or he fought through it or whatever. I mean, the balls it takes to fight through. I mean, look, fighters are often boxing through various light injuries. They're never completely healthy, but to suffer some kind of hand and elbow injury that slows you down significantly for 3 rounds makes it look like Betterbiev is going to turn it, is going to take over this fight if Bivol doesn't do anything about it. And then Bivol actually does the thing and takes over himself, has rounds where it looks like he's fighting the best he ever has against the best opponent he's ever faced, the best version of the best opponent he's faced to date. it was, I mean, a classic performance to come back from that, whatever it was that slowed him down in those that 4 through 6 stretch.
Key question here. We all watched the beginning of Bivol's run to a world title, the WBA strap at 175, and we always we thought of him as a boring European fighter, a guy who's probably better than he shows, but he's too safe. And if someone doesn't run into his right hand, he's not going to chase them. Now that changed over time, but are you surprised that the same guy we saw, I think he's knocked out Sullivan Barrera, but the same guy that was fighting that level of light heavyweight competition for a while, did you ever guess that that guy would go on to beat Canelo, beat unbeaten Zurdo, split with Betterbiev, and now talk about not only a trilogy, but maybe going up to cruiserweight himself and chasing those names? Did you have an inkling when this guy was initially world champion that something like this could happen?
Absolutely, Brian. I've been in the Mitri fan club since day one. I mean, me and Kate Bivol started it way back in the day, and now I'm holding it down for her because she bowed out, she jacked.
Yeah, but you're a married man, so I can't ask you to slide into those DMs. But would you? Okay, would you?
No chance. No. I don't. I'm not that kind of person. Yeah, no, I did. I've always thought highly of Bivol. Like even his boring fights. The man he fought some Russian Ukrainian bloke over 12 rounds, like a Yaroslav Korolev type guy, and it was not a exciting fight, but he controlled every second, both with his movement, with his counter punching, with his jab, and he consistently put on those really like those performances that, as someone who does appreciate the like pure boxing at times, actually whenever someone is great at it, I do appreciate it. I loved it when Floyd did it. Anyone who can pull it off, it's something I find as appealing as a great brawl, as an action fighter. In any case, I did always think that he was one. I remember, not that you would remember what goes down in our DMs with the Candy Lickers and Jackers.
Oh, I know it all. I remember it all. Yeah, okay. Hashtag risk it all, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
That's usually where your mind is at. But there were times back in the day where we would be in there saying, having these, boxing head debates, like we're in our own little barbershop full of, corny white guys. And shout out to Alex Godinez, who is not, and our friends there who are not corny white guys.
Godinez nuts,
yeah. But like we're in, but there were times where then this was back when Sergei Kovalev was still out there in light heavyweight, partially running things, and Bivol was coming up. And I remember I was one of the people in there saying, look, no, I think when it comes down to it, Bivol is the class. He has the talent, the skill, the movement, everything that when he puts it together, he can be at the top of this division. And as it turns out, so does Betterbiev. They are neck and neck. While Bivol won this one, and a lot of people thought he won the first one, I basically, to me, like they fought 24 even rounds, and I think they'll fight 60 rounds someday, and they will be about split 30-30 or 31-29.
It is that close. I don't know what this means for the third fight, because I scored both fights 7-5 for Bivol. They were different fights. But you can't count out Betterbiev with the power, with that stamina, but he's going to have to make some adjustments here. There's no doubt about it. Are you of the belief here that this fight, meaning the trilogy, will be next, should be next? How do you lean that? Because I do see a vocal minority of people, including Jim Lampley on Ariel Helwani's show yesterday, saying, love the rivalry, love the fights. We don't need to go in succession 1, 2, 3. We got Benavidez, we got Canelo, we got Morrell, we got Callum Smith. There's some names at 75. If you were His Excellency, what would you do next?
Yeah, look, I tend to agree with with the Lampley voices and just the folks saying that we don't need to run this back immediately. It will be there. It sort of would be nice to see the narratives develop and change a little bit and have them come back together, hopefully, at some point later in their careers. Also, like in terms of, the way promoters, the way the business mind works, this is now something they can put in their back pockets and fight after they're both washed someday if they don't get to do it in, before then. This is the kind of thing where they could go off and, Betterbiev could go up to cruiserweight like he had talked about a little bit and see how that goes for him. Bivol could defend and at light heavyweight and have that fight with Benavidez that I think we would really love to see. And then, in a year or two down the line, they come and make the rubber match after there's a sort of a change in the narrative. I think that would be good for the rivalry, for them to sort of go off in their on their own ways a little bit and then come back to resume at some point in time. I know age is a factor, but look, if Betterbiev has been this great so far into his early 40s, then I think it's fair to give him the benefit of the doubt that he will continue to be really, really good, even as he, hits the aging curve, at least for a couple more years. They have a little bit of time. I guess, I would like to see them mix it up a little bit. And I mean, you may know these facts, have it better in your head. Some of the great rivalries, the trilogies, the quadrilogy, whatever they're called, those, obviously the one that I know best is, Manny Pacquiao versus Juan Manuel Marquez. Those did not happen in succession. They each had, great fights in between their great fights with each other. And I think that ultimately elevated their rivalry, the way that they met at different stages in their careers, but they were always perfect for each other in terms of how the kind of action and skill they brought into the ring and the way they matched up against each other.
And they chased each other up the scales, to be fair. So that was a big part of it. It's like Bo Holyfield, arguably my favorite trilogy, separated, wasn't back to back to back. Vasquez Marquez was. Ali Frazier didn't need to be. It wasn't. Neither was Ali Norton. Those were all spaced out pretty well. I'm trying to think about which one?
Morales Barrera.
That was spread out. But I think Gotti Ward was Succession, if we're remembering correctly, correct?
Yeah, well, those guys didn't have nothing else for it.
I know, that's the point. A lot of those guys get to the end of the career. Oh, you're in a marketable rivalry. Let's just play it out. I think that you could go Bivol-Beterbiev next. Obviously, we need to see, because I don't know if you saw that interview Turkey did on the stage with Ade Oladipo, where he straight up called out Heyman. He was like, Heyman, let's make the fight. This was before the main event. So he said, if Betterbiev wins, let's make the fight with Benavidez. But now that Bivol wins, they do have that sparring history with each other, which is interesting. But there's also Canelo. I've thrown out that final four that people don't love, which it would be Canelo Bivol 2 on one side of the bracket, Benavidez Betterbiev on the other side. Callum Walsh could fight Benavidez for all we know next.
Doesn't Benavidez have the mandatory? Isn't he a mandatory though? Wouldn't he get the Bivol side? Is this just because Canelo would jack out of fighting Betterbiev? Yes. Okay, I get it. Now I see how you got to that.
Yes. Canelo would jack out of 2 of those 3 guys, right? And the only other fight he wants is Bivol. So if this is the final 4, then that's the only way it can work.
What if he wins? What happens if Canelo beats Bivol? Like, does he have to jack out of fighting the winner of Benavidez? Canelo, how are you going to get your way out of this?
He's going to fight Ilunga Makabu, okay, and take on Raskin in doubles tennis, probably. All right,
I mean, there you go. You mentioned the great cruiserweight division. It probably would be, what's it called? The Zerto at 200 pounds.
I mean, some people said, look, Bivol beat Zerto at 175. Well, somebody's going to go up there and take Zerto's attractive belt at cruiser, but shout out to Zerto, maybe being the most effective he's been at that weight class. Either way, this is where I do thank Turkey, because I'm not sure Bivol-Beterbiev ever happens if Turkey wasn't around and it was an Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum looking at each other going, who's paying for this? Where are we going to get the money for this? Right. That's going to go on pay-per-view to die.
They're just they're sitting there. Well, actually, they're just like, man, I just wish that like we could go back and work in Russia again and get the Rubinsky to pay for this, because then we'd be good. Get some oligarch over there to pay for it and we straight.
Is that who paid for Povetkin versus Klitschko? That somebody paid. Remember somebody bid $27 million? Was that?
Yeah, it was. I think maybe Andre Ryabinsky in English, Ryabinsky, and he had all those big cards over in Moscow and the Ice Palace and wherever. Those were fun. I mean, shit. He had
talking about the Tatoa Ice Palace in New Jersey, where main events made their bucks, or what?
I don't think so. But
okay.
the site of many great legendary nights, headlined by Denis Lebedev.
Yes, rub-a-dub, indeed. So, dude, this was great for boxing. This is a great ass fight, a great ass rivalry. What a time! I want to see light heavyweight begin to have all these guys interchange and face each other. I don't know how many fights left Betterbiev has. It's weird. Like, you would think he'd be more likely to go up to cruiserweight and seek a Opataya fight or put together some belts, but he seems non-committal. Anytime somebody brings up heavyweight and the idea of rematching Usyk, who he lost twice to, once in the Olympics, once in like the world championships, he always says Usyk is too big. Could you see?
They are about 50 pounds apart from each other now.
Fair,
I mean,
now
like, that's pretty significant. I think I tend to think the Russian may be right in this case.
What about a catchweight fight at 201 or 205 for the heavyweight championship? Betterbiev versus Usyk. No, they don't get that done. No.
I mean, that just seems make it legit. If he wants if he wants.
I mean, who wins this matchup Monday? That's what I want to know.
It's undefeated. This will never go.
Never wash it either. There you go. All right, great. How would you, after having seen these 7 fights, we did lose Floyd Schofield. We got the electrician Josh Padley. He was game. He came to fight. We did lose Daniel Dubois, although people are accusing him of pulling out of the fight against Parker after finding out Usyk wants to fight him for the undisputed. I don't know if that's true.
I mean, like that tracks a little bit. Has there been much reporting on whatever went on with Dubois? Because he showed up at the beginning of fight week doing interviews and talking, like sounding like himself, like he fully intended to go through with that fight. What I guess he didn't know that like an Usyk fight would be on the table. Like he's the most.
I don't know.
He makes the most sense in general. Like if you want to go straight to Usyk, that should have been it from the beginning.
Luke Thomas brought up a good point last week. Did Dubois' illness take Floyd Schofield off the hook? Well, now we found out that Israel Madrimov, who lost to Virgil Ortiz Jr. in a very interesting fight, he's now saying, some people are calling him patient zero, that he's actually the sick one who arrived. The doctors told him not to fight. He pushed through, and they're claiming that now he might have gotten everybody sick. Who knows? But it feels like there was some level of
that Tashkent gonorrhea got into everybody, huh?
Yeah, there's some level of adjustment to the food and the travel. I don't know, but it's not like it's the first fight in Saudi. So that's a little bit weird. But I did that big setup to ask you this. We both said, look, overall, this was a plus. Overall, this worked. Even with the fights falling out, the first 3 fights on the card, I mean, after that unnecessary prospect fight where the 2-0 guy fought the guy who was like 343-3, and then they killed time for 25 minutes. Once they finally started the fights, it just was like banger, banger, banger. Shakur.
Let's
and
chill.
Adamas. But then like kind of banger, and then main event absolutely banger. It clearly, I don't think we could say it lived up to the billing as the greatest fight card of all time. So I guess I want to ask you, will history note this card, or like the August 3rd one last year with Madrimov and Crawford, is it just another really big Saudi pay-per-view that had a very deep undercard?
I would say the latter. I mean, it was a really good card. It was a great event. There was enough excellent fights, like fantastic fights. But the thing that was historic about it was the rematch between Bivol and Beterbiev, and the fact that that Bivol won this time. That there is a new unified light heavyweight champion. The rest of that, I'm glad. Like I enjoyed those fights, but I get like I don't know if it was the best card ever. I don't care. I probably wouldn't mind them spreading those great fights out and letting me enjoy them in a less concentrated atmosphere, like less in a way that I could watch, 2 on one weekend and be like, damn, that was great. I would be happy that way.
2 women on one call. What is it? Nakatani on ESPN. Hey, do you agree with Hank Williams here that maybe Soylent Green was made out of people and that's what happened?
Possible. Well, yeah, you gotta look. I would not drink a bone broth made of journalists. It would basically just be
Let me get
gas
that
station hot
Coppinger's
dogs
tube.
and
Yeah, yeah. Let me get that. Yeah, okay. There you go. I agree. I don't think history is going to claim that this was everything they said it was, but I'm happy it happened. If this is the future, if this is where we're trending of, we don't need 7 great fights, but like UFC style jacked up pay-per-views, although the UFC pay-per-views of late have been sucking the to be fair, but as they continue to take away from everything that made that sport great, my own editorial right now, it was good. But let's talk about the co-main event. Maybe Dubois jacked. Well, he jacked in some form. Maybe somebody jacked him off the card, so to speak.
it was a masseuse, yeah.
Do you think when Bacoli got announced, there was a feeling it's not a title fight anymore, but this is probably the best upgrade you could have had to save that fight. Meaning you go from Dubois versus Parker, which is a very good fight, but Bacoli had that young George Foreman, boogeyman. Oh my God, did you see what he did to Big Baby Anderson? And then when you find out he's 315 pounds in the Congo, not training at all, gets on a plane. It takes him like a day and a half to fly there. He gets there at almost 3 a.m. the night before. And then as soon as he gets caught up in any action in round 2, that looping punch that grazed his temple, which was a legit punch, did knock him down. He had a Humpty Dumpty fall. But then the corner's like, yo, he didn't train. Let's save our boy. Nobody really wins from that. Like Parker might end up getting skipped over if they do Dubois Usyk 2 anyway. In your eyes, considering the card was already that deep, should we stop this, even though it's exciting, even though the UFC does it all the time, and even though apparently, according to Rick Glazer, Bacoli made $4 million, even though some other people reported that it was only written down as $600K. Who knows if there's backroom bonuses like in the UFC? Would you like to see them learn from what happened in the Shakur fight and the Parker fight, meaning that all downgrades aren't upgrades in the end?
For sure. Look, I think thinking on behalf of the fighters, on behalf of Shakur Stevenson and Joseph Parker, who both had, went through training camps, got ready for what were, especially in Parker's case, a really big fight. In Shakur's case, I don't know, a semi-normal fight, I don't know, kind of big. All of that, like it makes that like they deserve. Fighters usually want a reward at the end of that, even if it's not what they thought it was going to be. They want to go out there and get a chance to put another W on their resume, improve their records, and get paid for all the effort and the money they had to put out to train for a fight. So I do think that it is it's wise to, or it makes sense to try and keep them on the card. I would just say, and maybe there's a business reason, if we have any promoter heads who are regular listeners who really know the inside of the business in ways that I don't, please feel free to correct me. But I would just say, put that shit at the beginning of the card so we could ignore it. Like I would be, I'm not mad. It's clearly not Shakur Stevenson's fault that he had to fight the plasterer from the local council. It's clearly not Joseph Parker's fault that he had to fight, the like big ass Martin Bacoli who's not training. Like they at this point we're making lemonade out of lemons. So I think it makes sense. And Bacoli was a good name. It was worth a try. He's game to do it. Why not? I feel bad for Parker because he looked like he was ready for that fight against Daniel Dubois. He put on weight, but and usually when, because I didn't watch the weigh-in. Sorry guys, I didn't watch the weigh-in. But I heard that he was the heaviest he'd ever been. Yeah, look, if that's what it takes to have a hardcore card, you can have it.
I always preferred softcore anyway.
Like I like to leave a little to the imagination before I see all of Bacoli's titties. But like Joseph Parker, when I heard he was the heaviest he'd been in his career, I was like, oh, that's probably not a good thing. It's usually not a good thing in the heavyweight division. But he looked like he was in incredible shape for that. I mean, his back was ripped. He looked like, he looked like he had reached out to, Snack or Memo Heredia and got some good performance,
he got that cream.
shape.
He got that cream from the masseuse
right.
we talked about. Yeah.
He looked like, he looked like he really had an incredible training camp and was ready to give it all and see if he could take that title off of Daniel Dubois. And that may not it's no chance that, or there's no guarantee that he's ever going to get that opportunity against Dubois again in that kind of situation. And even if he does, will he be able to get himself back into that shape? I mean, I'm sure he's a professional. He's a good athlete. He will be in shape, but will it be the kind of shape that he was in and the readiness that he brought and only got to show against, Martin Bakole, who wasn't, just, showed up, did his best, whatever. Thanks for showing up. At least he gets paid. At least Parker gets paid. But I felt bad, man. He didn't get the chance that he had trained for.
Right. And he's now talking that he wants to fight Usyk. And I get that. He had a reformative year last year that wasn't as overbearing as Dubois was, or I mean, overbearing is the wrong word, but like it wasn't as shocking. I mean, I still think Parker kind of lost to Zhang, but that's, the judges didn't agree with me, but that's that. Yeah, I felt bad for Parker, but at the same time, I'm going to be honest. I want Dubois. If Usyk has 2 fights left in the second one, he wants to fight.
It ain't going to be Parker, guys. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to, I'm sorry. Joe Parker, people love that man, right? I mean, he's good on social media. He's charming in interviews. He's been he was by Tyson Fury's side when Fury was the fattest he'd ever been, helped him get trained back into shape. He is a true top bloke. Right. We would all love to hang out with him, grab a beer, whatever, ask it. I would love to campione him someday. But
in Burger King or no?
Anyway. Yeah. I mean, preferably I'll bring my Sergio Martinez Burger King crown and campione him in there.
Hopefully Miguel Vasquez is signing his PPC contract inside there. Okay.
He's not done. He's still got a little bit of life left in him. But it ain't, Joseph Parker's not going to get that fight. I mean, get your name out there, say you deserve it. You have a case. People will listen to that and write those stories, but it ain't happening.
This is a weird topic, but Dillian White was interviewed at the fight by a Polish TV. Bakole walked by. He called Bakole a pedophile, and then that led to people going, "Oh, you don't know BC? Bakole once posted a video on social media of a child getting sexually assaulted and then took it down right away and apologized." I don't remember this. Is there more to this?
Look, man, I don't know. I don't really. This sounds like I don't want to know.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
Was he the one? I don't
want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Okay. I wish they had put Virgil Ortiz in the co-main and dropped down the heavyweights a bit after that change. It is what it is. But let's talk about that fight, dude. Holy crap. Virgil Ortiz won. I mean, nobody won the night more than Bivol. Maybe Bivol won, Turkey 2. Seriously, be honest, seriously. But 3 is Virgil Ortiz Jr. Even with Madrimov now revealing that the doctors didn't even think he should have been in there. Dude, him and Robert Garcia deserve all the credit for taking a guy who we still weren't sure if he was a blown-up welter at 154. We still weren't sure if he really beat Boachuk, right? He got dropped twice. It was a close fight. And now, after this 12-round performance, the adjustments he made, those gnarly slow motion videos of him pulling Madrimov's glove down and then tricking him to the body. Dude, Canelo Crawford is a great fight. It's for the casuals. It demands to be in a stadium. It's going to be a big-ass deal. But I got an itching to see Virgil Ortiz against Terrence Crawford now after what he just did to Madrimov. How freaking impressed were you by this unbeaten 54-pounder?
Oh, man. I was so happy rewatching that fight and seeing how good Virgil Ortiz looked, the way that he caught up with Madrimov, eventually turned that fight in his favor. That 9th round where he truly turned, when Ortiz just took over and pretty much won throughout swept the rest of the rounds down the stretch. He looked like the fighter that that was the track that he had been on when he was mowing through opponents and looking like this the sort of complete offensive package at 140 pounds. And all of a sudden, obviously he had the weight problems at 147 or not necessarily weight problems, but kidney problems, rhabdo. And that really stalled his career. And then he didn't look great, in beating, Serhii Boachuk.
I mean, he had balls. He had balls.
Right. But it started to look like, man, is this guy gonna quite pan out? Maybe that moment passed, and he's right back where to that fighter I thought he was gonna be, and he looked so good, and it was such a good performance. He used everything that was available to it. Like he thought through that fight. He made adjustments. He let his hands go. His pressure was smart. He dealt with adversity when Madrimov's movement was really a problem early in the fight, and he was getting pot shotted, and his face was showing it. It was not like these were light blows he was taking from Ortiz, and he stayed with it and turned the fight in his favor. And I mean, just ball sack of the year type performance with skill. He actually, I mean, I was thinking, why I had a similar thought while, when he, like, down the stretch of that fight, when he's clearly taking over and looks like he's putting distance between himself and Madrimov on the cards. I'm thinking, like, wow, like Virgil Ortiz might let Canelo off the hook if he actually doesn't want to fight Crawford now, because they'll just throw Virgil in there, and fans will all be like, well, shit, that's a great fight too. Look, Canelo, I still want you to take that fight, or at least a decent fight. But he's, that's how good Ortiz was this weekend. He put himself into a fight against anyone around his weight class, and you'd be like, yeah, I want to see that. Hell yes.
I agree with you. And I hope Canelo wasn't watching this card up and down and going, maybe I'll rematch Callum Smith. I hope that wasn't what he said, even though shout out to Callum Smith. We can get to that in a second. Yeah, dude, even if there's a full-skulled element to the idea that Madrimov was gas tank compromised and couldn't keep up what he started, which was all of his bells and whistles and feints and footwork and head movement. But, dude, to be fair, even when I thought that he was outclassing Virgil a little early, Madrimov really wasn't landing much outside of some backhand slap jabs. And it was Ortiz's control of mid-distance and obviously his poise and patience in the targeting of these shots. Dude, he was going downhill by the end of that fight. And given everything you laid out about his health history, being off 2 years when he had that knockout streak in what we thought was his prime, hell yeah. What was the name of that? Macarena Smogcheck hats for everybody after that performance. You know what I'm saying?
I did note the Macarena Smogcheck. Also, I love listening to Robert Garcia in the corner between rounds, both because he is a great trainer. He gives good instructions. He brings so much passion. It also makes me think of him, that classic moment with him and Brandon Rios in the first Rios Alvarado fight where, he's like, I know you love this. I know you love it.
I know you fucking love this.
I know you fucking love this. And I'm like, yeah, I love it too, Robert. Fuck yeah. He is, yeah. And
but then by the end of the next fight, it was, Max, you think I'm a fucking punch you back?
Look, I am a bigger fan of Robert Garcia than Brandon Rios in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, thank you.
In any case, no, it's just it was a hell of a performance, and I'm so glad that Ortiz is got the opportunity and made the most of it. And Madrimov talking about being sick, man, save that. Like, he fought well. It was competitive. He had a lead. Like, the guy caught up to him and outfought him down the stretch and took over late. If it was because he was sick, he had plenty of excuses to jack after half the card jacked. So, maybe, and also, maybe our boy Boachuk's over there, like, yeah, karma's a bitch, motherfucker. Like, you thought, you jacked on our fight so you could have this one, and now you lost.
Bitch. Yeah. So in the end, it goes down 115-113 on two scorecards, 117-111. I'm glad he didn't get robbed. I'm glad he put forth that performance. So here's the deal at 54. Damn, I would love a tournament, but things are splintered. PBC has a lot of these 54 names, it seems, and it seems like they are setting up the idea of Keith Thurman, who fights Brock Jarvis in March, against the winner of Tim Tszyu fighting Joey Spencer in April. So maybe there's tied up. What do you think about this suggestion? If you can't get Bud, how about Bakram Murtazaliev that Chinchilla is offering against Ortiz? Murtazaliev was the one who took Tszyu to the woodshed last fall. Would you be down for that to get to attempt to put a title around the waist of Ortiz?
Hell yes. I mean, Murtazaliev proved that he is on that level. I mean, he beat Tim Tszyu, who I think a lot of us had pegged as as the class of, or the potentially class of the division, even with the, fighting through the crazy cut loss versus Sebastian Fundora. Like that fight makes sense. If they can make it, do it. Why not?
I still feel like we're heading, even though Sebastian Fundora is coming back March 22nd, off pay-per-view, Amazon Prime in Vegas against Cordell Booker, probably just to shake off the rust of being out a year. He was waiting to try to get that Spence pay-per-view. Spence wasn't ready. It still feels like they're setting up the path for Spence and Fundora to fight. That's 2 of the 4 belts. Murtazaliev's got
Charles
one
Spence
of the belts.
He's going to come back for real, you think?
Who, Spence?
Yeah.
I feel like he is. Yeah, I still feel like he is. And then the other belt is Bud Crawford, but it looks like he's happy to sit out until Canelo, right?
It seems like that's going to be what happens. Yes. And if a Canelo fight is in the works for September, I don't think the fight that Bud takes in between is going to, like, Canelo's over here fighting William Skull and Bud is going to be, let me fight Virgil Ortiz while we stay busy. Like, nah. Maybe it will be, I don't know, Joey Spencer. But it will be on that level.
He's been out since the Canelo fight, and he was out for like 18 months before that. Jermell Charlo, the former undisputed champion at 54, or was he undisputed? Yeah, he beat. Yeah. Do you think he returns and does anything, or kind of just returns and loses to Fundora or Tszyu or Spence or whatever?
I have no clue. I don't see why Jermell wouldn't be able to return. Like, he was on a real roll. There was a moment there where, after he unified the titles against, Castaño in that rematch, when it was like, all right, we got to give this man his flowers, because he just keeps beating all these really good opponents who we sat here, our hipster asses sat around and saying, I think he could beat Charlo, or might give Charlo a fight. Like, and Charlo said, nope. And showed, his just how good he was. Then came in, laid that horrible egg against Canelo. And I don't know if he's just living high off the hog with the money and doesn't need to, if he's going out he's taking the Maidana. By the way, are there updates on Chino Maidana's health? Like, he was in a bad.
That's a great question. Accident. I haven't seen any updates, but I was very scared when I saw that report.
Well, we love him. We love you, Chino, wherever you are. We hope you're doing well. And the way that Maidana fought those 2 Floyd fights, it was like, nope, see you later. I'm taking this money.
So I want to ask you that.
Getting some tattoos, buying a bunch of guns, and gonna hang out by the pool. Thank you. Like, if that's what Charlo's up to now, cool. Like I love when boxers sort of beat the game like that.
Okay, so Chino beat the game and never came back. What do you think about this bloke who Castaño, also from Argentina, never fought again after the 2 fights, right? The first one a draw, but we all know he beat Charlo. He got the wrong scorecards. Then he got stopped in a very exciting rematch in Carson, California. But that was a long ass time ago, and he hasn't fought since. Is he done?
Yo, man, I don't know. These fighters aren't that old. They should still be. There should be years left on their careers. I don't know if their inactivity is a result of them, not wanting to be in the ring, if it has to do with business complications on the PBC side. I don't know. It's hard to, it honestly feels like, wow, there's all this talent on the PBC side at 154 pounds. It's like, why does it even, it's turning into like a Zen koan, where it's like, if these fighters exist, or do they exist if they are never in a boxing ring anymore? Does PBC exist if it's, if it doesn't put boxing shows on the air? I don't know what to make of it. I want PBC to be healthy. I want their fighters to be active. And I don't know. I hope that happens. I don't know how it's going to happen.
Our boy Arturo said he heard Castaño had some bad concussions and health issues that could line up. That is interesting. I want to ask around when I'm at the PBC fight card this weekend and see if there's any future on that. But what a win for Virgil Ortiz. Let's speed round through this. Aja Kabayel, the German
All-Sack of the Year award for that man. Woo!
I really thought we were heading into this guy getting fraud checked and exposed, even though Zhang Zhang at 41 is always hit or miss. He's going to knock you out or guess the frick out. Dude, Caballel went in there, got up off the canvas in round 5, and then looks like the most prolific body punching heavyweight we'd ever seen. Scores 3 straight heavyweight knockouts to the body. Frank Sanchez unbeaten the fight before. Now Zhang Zhang, he's got the interim WBC heavyweight title. And now it's like, if Joseph Parker is going to get left out, let's go Joseph Parker versus Caballel. Is he on that level? Because some people are saying, hold up, I got footage of Caballel 3 fights ago getting rocked by a journeyman. Like, he does get hit. Can this guy swim in the deep waters of heavyweight?
Look, the way that he fought against Zhang over the weekend makes me say yes. The fact that he beat two undefeated. Now, I think Makhmudov, we can definitely say, was limited. The big Russian lion. Yes. Frank Sanchez, a different kind of fighter, maybe a little unproven, but still, he beat 2 very fancied undefeated heavyweights who probably were favored going in against him. I put a lot of respect on what he's been doing in these last 3 fights. And Zhang, you have to be good to beat him. Otherwise he's gonna, he will eventually land something on you that ends the fight. He's not an easy dude to deal with, and he's so big. As the Brits say, he's a big lump. Anyway, I and the way that he, that second round adjustment where he brought the fight inside, braved a lot, took a lot of shots from Zhang in the process. I just think it was a really, really impressive performance. And yes, I definitely think he has proven enough to earn a fight at the contender level against Joseph Parker, who, he's a former champion, but he's, who beat, they both, their wins over Zhang Jilei are less than a year apart from each other, right? And who was more impressive? Exactly. Clearly, yeah. So why not? And also, I think stylistically, I like that fight. They both are smaller for the modern heavyweight division. They both move well, throw nice combinations. I think it would come together in a great way. Yes, make that fight. I love it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And, for Zhang Zhang, it's like, I'm not surprised, but are we done? Big banging? Can he beat an elite guy still? I mean,
no, I don't. What's elite? What, elite as in Usyk, or
so he's not going to beat Usyk, Fury, AJ.
I mean, he might beat AJ if he catches him with the right shot because of the power in AJ's. Once the wheels start coming off of the Joshua train, there's no getting back on the track. They're going all the way off. So he's and his power, Zhang's power, will mean that he's always sort of going to bring a puncher's chance into into a fight. But I think at the highest level at heavyweight, probably I wouldn't pick him to beat many of the best in the world.
All right, we got some hilarious comments coming in. Zhang is like butterbean with Kraft.
I'll take that.
We also have, speaking of king of the 4-rounders, Zhang Bakoli in a 4-rounder. Are you in on that, dude?
I am in that. Why? So if we're living in Turkey's world where he can just sort of make whatever he wants to happen in the sport happen because he's going to put so much money behind it, why not just have some fights like that break all the rules? They're we're going to make you 4 rounds because we want you to just bang. We don't want you to save anything. We want this to be the craziest 4 rounds that you can bring. Do it, boys.
So, by the way, Peter Davis wanting Zhang for Chisora's 50th, which is sloppy and perfect. A lot of people are saying in this chat that Bakoli and Ilunga Makabu are brothers. Do they mean just brothers because they're from the same country, or are they actually brothers?
I don't know, man. They don't have the same last name, but maybe they're half brother. I guess my game is off because I like to know this stuff about fighters from parts unknown.
Cruiserweight champion Yoan Pablo Hernandez is brothers with Yoel Romero of Skinhead fame.
Yo.
Okay. All right. So yeah, dude, I want more Caballel. This is one of those situations where Turkey gave a shot to a guy who really wasn't on our radar, and he keeps proving himself worthy of being here. So well done on that regard. Let's have the Shakur Stevenson conversation. And I have a saved tweet here. Somebody came after me. Let's hear from Zanny Pacquiao. BC, every time you tell me to watch Shakur, every single time afterwards, there are always excuses about his performances. When can we say he's great, but not going to be a star? Dude, I haven't officially 9-lived Shakur on the level that I used to always say Adrian Broner has one more run in him, or Amir Khan's chin won't stop him from being great. You know, I've fallen on a few swords in my time. Dude, I'm still here to tell you Shakur is one of the 10 best fighters in the game. I'm still here to tell you one day he will be the pound for pound king. And I'm still here to tell you that these hand injuries and fighting a last minute plumber, you're not going to get excitement. It is what it is. You're only going to get thrilling fights if Oscar Valdez tries to walk him down or we put him in there with Tank. That's the real part of it. He's not the first guy to be like this. He's a thin-handed defensive fighter, but at least he's getting in front of people's faces and bringing the fight to them. I see in your face that you're about to drop a doogie on me like that episode of Oz.
Yeah, I'm about to put a Doogie Fisher all over you.
Are you done protecting Shakur? Because
I've never protected this man. Like ever since he was a prospect, beating up people, beating up civilians in a parking lot in Miami or wherever, New Jersey, wherever that would happen. Like I think he lost the goodwill at that point in time. But look, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, man. Like why is to me, he is the best still unproven fighter in boxing. Right,
the 3-division champion. We can't say unproven.
I'll nitpick the shit out of that resume. Like
Please.
the best is like a not at his best Oscar Valdez. That's the only decent win.
I beat Joette and I took his sister.
Yeah, I don't care about. Yeah, I'm more impressed about the about him sliding in Joette's sister's DMs. Have we heard from Joette ever since he got beat by Navarrete one time? You know,
I think so.
And he was gutted afterwards. But I mean, you look at this. His best wins. What he made Jamel Herring look bad. Jamel Herring was only there because he had a gentleman's agreement. We're going out of town fight with Carl Frampton, who was fighting 3 divisions above his best weight and clearly about to retire. Great. Good for you, Jamel. You won that fight. And then Shakur showed what level he was actually on. Like Shakur is he's a very talented fighter. I'm not going to rule him out against the very best of the best, but he has not, his accomplishments so far in the ring are not up to that level. He just doesn't have the win.
Fight him. They don't want to fight him.
Fight him? Who doesn't want to fight him?
All of them. All right.
Well, because it ain't worth their time. What is he? Let him fight. Who he's fighting with Matchroom now. He could fight that guy, that 130.
Zepeda. They're trying to make the Zepeda fight, but that dude keeps pulling out. So do you agree with Chinchilla here about the parking garage?
Was he fighting a girl in the garage too?
There was a girl involved. I don't really remember the exact specifics of the punches.
Look, this is my thing. Like, also, when did this excuse about his hands come up? When and who thought
that's been there? That's been there for a while. Okay,
so I don't understand. He doesn't even punch his opponents in his fights. When is he breaking his hands?
Hadley said he had no power.
He's so you're telling. So you see, he's a excellent or let's say great defensive fighter with brittle hands. So you're basically telling me he's Paulie Malignaggi? Is that what you're trying to tell me right now?
Okay, stop that crap.
What's wrong with Paulie? Well, yo, chill. You got a problem with Paulie? All right, you think you could take Paulie's side piece? Don't brag about that. It's not even his girl.
I get that I've never had less money in the bank in my protecting Shakur argument. I get that. I get that completely. I'm just telling you, I know this game. By the way, we do have to have Philadelphia's own Mark Abrams on one time just to talk about that call with Larry Holmes.
I would love that. Yes.
Right? For
also, that was an incredible card. Incredible card.
What was the main event? It was Viloria
and Hernan Tyson Marquez.
Yes.
Or is it Vasquez? Anyway, that and it was the Viloria fight where Larry Holmes dropped the classic, I called that 2 rounds before it happened. I know this game.
You gotta listen to me. I know this game and I know that Shakur will be okay. The hand issues are troubling. He's got a giant permanent,
He's in the wrong line of business then. What is going on here?
You could say about Floyd, but Floyd figured it out. He figured out how to
who doesn't appear to be figuring it out? Shakur Stevenson.
All right. I got to interrupt this because Galachi's here and he's here to support the pod. And he has a very important question for you. I'm not sure you're prepared to answer it, but Galachi, I hope you have a Pinot Noir by your side or a Malbec. Who do we think is a more giving lover? Referee Pat Russell or Dr. Lou Moret?
Okay. This is how many hardcore boxing fans can tell the difference between Pat Russell and Dr. Lou Moret? Could you pick them out of a lineup? I'm pretty sure I could, actually.
I definitely could.
I'm a
I've sent you that picture of Pat Russell and was that Tim Bradley versus Vargas, right?
Yeah. When he
I didn't hear the bell.
He stopped the fight too early. Well, Tim Bradley was holding on for dear life. I got to say, it's probably Pat Russell. I had a great interview with him once when I was writing at The Athletic. He told me all about the decisions that go into his mind as a referee and when to step down, and was really open to talking about the craft, and told me funny stuff about how he would get into the ring and sort of, instead of shadow boxing, he would like shadow ref, and people would look at him at like the LA Sports Club somewhere, like Costa Mesa, whatever, he's in Orange County, and they're like, "What are you doing, man?" And he's in the ring like stepping in, breaking up a match. I'm having visions of Above the Rim and Nutso, fucking Tom Shepard doing his workouts with no ball in the middle of the night. Yes, Pat Russell would definitely steal your side piece and make her happy.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would. Wow, I love this game. I love that we can make oddball hardcore 2014 boxing references, and at least 3 people in this chat are losing their mind over it. I love that.
That's the goal, is to make the most obscure joke that like fewer than 5 people will get, but those 5 people will be like, that was the funniest shit I just need to
get Mikey, my producer, to upload all the pictures in my favorites folder on my iPhone, because it's all like Cedric Agnew's parents when they sat in their Sunday best in that fight against Kovalev. You know what I mean? It's all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Bang it full of quarters. Indeed, Al Drum. R.I.P. Nutso. Yeah, great stuff going on here. So here's the question to you. Shakur wants Tank. He's not.
Make the fight.
Can it be made, in your eyes, without Tank signing with Turkey?
Without Tank signing to fight? No, it cannot be made if Tank does not agree to make that fight. I don't know if it can be made. No, you don't have to sign with Turkey. You just need to take his money. He's not always.
That's true. But
lock people up. You know what? I mean, I'm sure you're going to get to this in a minute or two. I think the bigger obstacle now for some of these PBC fighters looking at Riyadh season cards is like, oh, we're going to go over there and get jobbed, because these guys are not going, they're going to look for every way to fuck us over, which is exactly what happened to our boy Adames in that fight.
It did happen.
And I would tell them, look, if the money is good enough that you don't mind losing, getting robbed, take the money and go try and knock them out. But if
Tank has said that publicly, he said they'll rob me over there. And remember, look,
I agree, they will. Tank, you're right. They will rob you.
Outside of Tim Tszyu, who's not against working with Turkey, he's just basically like, I'm getting so much Australian pay-per-view money right now, I don't need to. Tank's the last one that hasn't crossed over now that Canelo has, it seems. I mean, Benavidez was ringside. I heard Louis Cubas Jr. was there. I don't know for sure, but like, there's some crossover. We've seen 3 or 4 PBC guys on these cards over the last year plus. We're going to see Rolly Romero in May against Ryan Garcia. I don't know. I mean, would Eddie allow Shakur to be a B-side on a PBC pay-per-view? I don't know.
Shakur is the B-side against Tank on any card. Like,
no doubt.
One fighter is the biggest American draw in boxing. The other is a guy who you avoid on ESPN when they force him upon you.
Are you as moved as I am? Because when Keyshawn Davis won, and I lost my stuff. I'm like, this kid's great. I want to see him against Tank right now. Holy crap. Davis versus Davis is the fight to make, even though I said Shakur versus Tank is my number 1 fight in the sport. The feeling was that Keyshawn and Shakur would never fight, and they're friends, and they're Bomac guys, and they're part of the greater North Omaha boys, all that. But in the last week, both in Shakur and the Andre Ward video said, in response to Andre, like, if the bag's big enough, yeah, I'd fight him. And then Keyshawn quote tweeted it and said, send the offer. Do you think they'll fight each other, or only like 5 years from now if they're both top superstars?
I have no clue. I mean, I think they will fight each other. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to make that fight. I know they are friends, but that happens fairly regularly in boxing.
Friends fight. They don't fight in MMA. Friends fight in boxing all the time.
Yeah. So yes, I think that fight could happen. If anything, I think that one argument to make big fights for Keyshawn Davis at 135 pounds, sooner rather than later, is that he's so young and appears to have the frame to grow into 140 and eventually like 140, like fight at welterweight and get up into that division before long, in a way that maybe some of those other names, Tank, obviously because of his stature, wouldn't be that comfortable up at 147, although he probably could. We've seen him at 140 before. And I mean, Shakur could probably do it, but I don't know. I mean, if he's gone up from 126 to 135 and constantly breaking his hands and like I don't know man, fuck it, man. Who cares about these guys?
Okay. Oh, see, I was going to ask you if Shakur's continual poor headlines in the eyes of boxing fans. Now he's got Clarissa Shields fighting his battles on Twitter, which is interesting. I don't know if he gets it, but I still feel like it's the most critical fight for both Tank and for Shakur. Tank's got to get by Lamont Roach Jr. this weekend, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's dicey. You never know.
Anyway, did we have another fight to talk about on this card? Oh, yeah. We had Carlos Adames against Hamza Shiraz, and it feels like even though Shiraz fought well, and even though he ends up with a disputed draw, to say the least, I want to get what you actually thought was learned in this fight, because I think Hamza was slightly exposed, at least exposed that he's not at this level against an experienced champion and boxer like Adames, who in the second half of that fight got inside on him, limited him to one punch at a time. Like I said, visually, I thought it was 8-4, 9-3, 7-5 Adames, somewhere in that area. My colleague at CBS Sports, Brent Brookhouse, scored it at a draw. Twitter thinks it's a robbery. What did you learn ultimately from this fight?
I learned that I wish I hadn't watched it, and that it had a even more disappointing scorecard at the end of it. Shiraz, I still an intriguing talent. Like, you don't want to give up on him right away, but this was his first big step up, and he didn't look very good. He didn't look like he was ready for it. It could be could have been the moment. It could have been a tricky opponent, just a short, athletic fighter for middleweight, and he's tall and rangy, a guy who was smart and knew how to get inside his reach and stay away from like the end of those pretty punches that he's used against lesser competition. You don't want to, you're not going to overly judge him for it, but this was the first big test, and he didn't look very good, and he was lucky to escape with split draw.
Yeah, split draw ultimately. But here's the weird part about it. The judge that scored it for Shiraz scored it 115, 114. I don't know how you get there. And Adames' scorecard was 118, 110. So it's one of those weird fights, but it's got to be mentioned. Turkey running into the corner after round 10, telling Shiraz's team aggressively to tell him that he's down 2 points. We still don't know, because it's not like Turkey's doing a press conference and the media is asking him after, if Turkey oversaw the real scorecards, or was the AI fourth judge, or Mannix's scorecard. Mannix DM'd me and said it was probably his scorecard that Turkey saw. Either way, I've been all over social media and podcasts complaining about this, because I do think there needs to be a line, and Turkey has crossed it now a few times, including the admitting that he lied to sway the Canelo negotiation. Is this anything to you, what we saw, these videos that are out there, outside of just that's a bad look? Is there anything deeper in your eyes?
Well, I think it is. If boxing fans want to look at that and conclude that Turkey is in the bag for certain fighters, for the promoters that he works with, most often, fighters that he may have some affinity for, or other kind of like connection with, like, Yeah, I think that it's like I believe that already because I think that happens in boxing. I mean, so on one hand, like on every card, you know who the house fighters are, and you expect the house fighters sometimes to get the benefit of the doubt on scorecards for all sorts of innocent and not so innocent reasons.
And it happens with every promoter too, to be fair.
Exactly. So this is not like on one level, this is not that different from top rank fighters getting the benefit of the doubt on top rank cards, PPC fighters getting the benefit of the doubt on PPC cards, you name it, Matchroom, Queensberry, we see it happen all the time, right? That's why we were so almost surprised and elated to see last week when Arnold Barboza goes over to, is it Arthur Barboza? Arnold. Hey Arnold. When Arnold Barboza goes over to the UK and gets a fair scorecard against Jack Catterall and wins, like that's a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise, but it is, and we all know that's part of the sport. It's still worse. Turkey makes it worse when he is openly intervening in fights to the benefit of the guys that he likes. And yeah,
he's a Riyadh ambassador, Shiraz.
Right. Whatever the hell that means. Yeah.
That means he's paid a certain amount to regularly show up at Riyadh events, to tweet out. It's not like what Cristiano Ronaldo has, the same kind of deal. I'm sure the money's much different in that deal, but like
Ronaldo is a much more effective influencer than Hamza Shiraz. But
like those top soccer blokes sign with Turkey, and they like have to do a certain amount of tweets promoting vacationing with their family in the country, like all that stuff. It's not that we don't know Turkey has favorites. It's obvious whether we like that or not. I would prefer him not, because I believe he's now ascended above the role of promoter. So when anyone's saying Floyd did that for Tank in the Barrios fight, Brian McIntyre, Bomac did it for Crawford in the Porter fight, it's different. Those are trainers and individual promoters in a sport where often the fights have competing promoters representing the fighters. So it's more natural that you're going to be a cheerleader. I've never said Eddie Hearn shouldn't run up and down the ringside baseline and celebrate when his guys are winning or losing. Like, it's part of it. But we have to agree that Turkey has ascended to an Al Heyman or even a Dana White level where the control now, the seat of power now, dude, that gives off really bad messages. Like, who would want to be a B-side fighter from another promotion to come when he's like literally intervening into the fight, even if it's just, hey, I think you're losing. Like, what is that? Come on.
I mean, he is openly making it clear that he is going to try and help the fighters that he likes for one reason or another in cards that he puts on. And if you have a problem with that, either take the money and shut up, or don't fight on his card. Like, if you got a problem with that, turn off your damn station. It's not good. Like, it does make you as a fan, it makes you skeptical of the outcome of fights. It is also something that we're sort of used to doing in boxing. That's a factor that we just automatically include in our evaluation of fights. Well, I like this guy in the fight, but he's not the house fighter, so I think he'll probably lose on the cards. Like, that is a thing as a thought that we're used to working into our evaluation of the sport. But it's not for a Canelo. Good for Canelo for a lot. Yeah, not just Canelo though. Almost any Russian trying to fight in Vegas against a big American star, or Canelo, North American star. So it's one of those things but you still don't want it. You don't want it to be there at all. We can't get it completely out of the sport. So what we would like instead is to not see it on our screen during actual fights. And that's what this guy is doing. This guy loves to be the show. And you got it. Unfortunately, that is the bad side of Turkey's influence on boxing, right?
Sure.
He's going to put himself in the center, have people kiss his ass, thinks that he owns the whole thing because he's putting up all the money. And usually that's how people with that much money act. That's why they suck to be around. But most of us need money, so we put up with it.
To a certain degree, I think you're right on everything you said. It goes back to that Coppinger thing on ESPN when he admitted to lying. I bet promoters do that daily, but you don't come out on national television and be like, yeah, my supposedly independent news source, Ring Magazine, I used it to lie about the negotiations so that fighter would sign with me. He's just like showing us cards in a way that in boxing, we assume everybody's corrupt behind the scenes, but there has to be some form of like, I'm not going to outright show you the receipts. I don't know. Am I complaining for the sake of complaining? Do I just hate the direction it's going? I got to ask myself that at the end of the day. I got to ask you about the opener of the fights that mattered. And your boy Mundo, Callum Walsh, going in there against a still unproven Joshua Buatsi at 33, who was undefeated, but hadn't stepped up that next rung. Dude, Callum is a man in there.
He's got balls. That was a good fight. Like, I was happy for him. Like, we said this last week, Brian. You got to listen when we're talking. We know this game. These Walsh. You got me saying Walsh now. These Smith brothers from Liverpool, they have 9 lives. They will show up to fight long after you have pronounced them dead.
Long after their hair turned gray, too.
Yeah. I mean,
except for Paul Smith. I never heard from him again after Andre Ward on Rock Nation. You know what I mean?
Oh, what a legendary night. Who was that other guy Ward fought in between? He had some weird ass name.
Let me look it up.
I think it was before the Kovalev fight. It was like one of these, or maybe like
you're not talking about Labamba. You're not talking about
Labamba. No, not Rodriguez. That's that fight. Shout out to Jack Reese. That was his
Alexander Brand.
Yes, that fight.
He went
sucked.
the distance. He went the distance in Oakland. 120, 108 on all 3 cards.
See, okay, wow. This is why you love Shakur Stevenson, because Andre Ward would do that bullshit too, and then win every big fight he was in. That great motherfucker that he was. But he would take these terrible in between fights that make you want to drown yourself, but he was still that great that he would beat all of the top level. Like, yes, maybe Shakur is that guy, but I don't want to live in a world where that's my favorite fighter. Anyway, Alexander Brand sucks and Callum Smith is good. Joshua Buatsi never showed it, and he'd been around he had opportunities. There's a reason.
He fought like a man. He fought like a man on Saturday.
So Joshua what? Like you love to give people brownie points for having some balls. They're fighters. They're supposed right. Let's.
But I take care of my kids. You're supposed to, you dumb mother.
Right. You want a cookie? Yeah. This is where Teddy Atlas needs to come in and says, good for him. He behaved. He conducted himself like a fighter in there. He's a fighter. That's about as much praise as that deserves. What he is not is a fighter who is as good as Callum Smith, who is a championship like right below the level of the very best in the sport, or a clear step below Canelo and Betterbiev, where he was just outclassed both times. But anyway, like otherwise, if he were against championship level opposition that is not quite top 10 pound for pound level like Canelo and Betterbiev are, Smith is right in there with him, and he's shown it multiple times. He hasn't even fallen off that much
in some of his biggest fights. He hasn't shown a ball sack like that. This felt like divorced dad energy, like Mosley against Margarito. It almost felt like I'm sick of people saying things like Klitschko against AJ. It felt like one of those like I'm just going for it. And you know what? I want to see him against Benavidez. I really do. Like that'd be a good pay-per-view fight in my eyes.
I agree 100%. I mean, both in terms of they're similar heights. It's probably someone who, because he's from another country and doesn't always train, I'm sure he has sparred in the U.S., might be one of the only fighters in the world who David Benavidez hasn't sparred yet and won't be like, I beat his ass at sparring.
Okay, look at you getting sour now.
I'm tired of that narrative, man. I'm sure like Benavidez is really good, but I like every time, sparring this. He's been in the wars. But yeah, and if Benavidez doesn't fight Bivol next or Canelo, if he doesn't fight, if he doesn't get one of those fights, I think that the Callum Smith fight would be excellent fight in between. The scary thing is that with those, with either a unification fight against Bivol or the long shot chance of Canelo deciding he's game for that fight, is Benavidez going to have to go into the Caleb Plant holding pattern and just fight, take softer touches to preserve his status as the guy we want to see get that chance next? Like Callum Smith, like I would favor Benavidez pretty clearly against Callum Smith, but that's one step more dangerous than you need to get if your ultimate goal is to either be in the ring against Dimitri Bivol or Canelo down the line.
Did you see late last week, Brunch Boxing reported that the Benavidez Canelo fight was not off the table, and they reported that Canelo hasn't officially signed to fight Bud, although he has signed with Riyadh Season.
You're never going to get me to go in on any of this bait about any of this stuff.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
and Brunch Boxing is one of the better outfits out there, but they're basically correcting the bullshit that we get from everywhere else. And then when the things, when the whole script flips, then it'll change again. When a fight gets made, we'll know.
I was lying yesterday, and now I'm also lying today, Bob Arum. They had a nice 7K sellout for the greatest card of all time. Let me ask you this equation, because we could rag on the idea of taking this ridiculously great card and putting it in such a tiny arena. I didn't love the atmosphere and the feel, although I liked the way the ring looked and some of the bells and whistles in there. I think I'm willing to trade, though, to do these fights late afternoon, my old ass on the East Coast in the US. Like, shout out to anybody who's watching these at 3 a.m. But dude, to get these fights at 2, 3, 4 p.m. and the main events at 6, which allows me to be still with it as I'm writing a, post-fight, doing a podcast, doing whatever. Like, I'll trade that if some of these big fights have to be in a 6,000 arena in the middle of the desert. I don't like it, but I will trade that. How about you?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care where they have the fights. It doesn't. If they make a good fight, I'll watch it eventually. I'm probably not even going to watch it live anyway.
You're
so
the purest boxing fan ever, but also the saltiest. That's what
if you're listening right here, if you care, be a casual. It's much better. Just be a casual. Yeah, you don't have to. When the fight's on TV, watch it.
Let's get a little hardcore. And it was Monday. Let's get hot. Monday morning in Japan. Yes. Junto Nakatani, the decorated bantamweight world champion, 27 years old, 30-0 with 23 KOs. He went in there against a very good opponent in 28-0 David Cuellar. But Rafe, 4 times at 118 pounds. Junto now has 4 KOs. And if you watch this, the Southpaw needed just 3 rounds to hurt Cuellar, put together some vicious combinations, and then got him the heck out of there as Christina Poncher and Michaela Mayer had the call for ESPN. I
love how they paint a picture with their words.
They paint nice pictures. I have not added him yet to my top 10 pound for pound. He's in the others receiving votes. A lot of people and other publications have. How good in your eyes is Junto Nakatani?
He seems really good. I'm not against the folks out there who want to put him at the back end of their top 10 pound for pounds. Like, the talent just is it jumps off the screen. The power, he's a fighter to be reckoned with. And those lower weight classes are very, very competitive. There are not like those like at the championship level there, even if it's some dude you never heard of, chances are he could fight his ass off. And he keeps winning in impressive fashion. So I'm not against it. I also, if people are like, look, if some folks, so look, first of all, pound for pound list, they're all fake. They're all made up. They don't matter.
You love saying that.
We do that. It's true. It's true. They are made up. It is mythical. It is who are your 10 favorite fighters? That's your town. That's your pound for pound.
Stop it.
That's fine. That's what it should be. I encourage all my casual friends to also come up with their own 10 favorite fighter lists. So if you want, and so fighters like Nakatani, I'll let me break it down for people as someone who knows this media game and is no longer deeply I'm not in that box anymore. But so someone like Nakatani, you will put him 8 or 9 on your pound for pound list if you want to look like if you just want to send the message out there to the hardcore fans that, hey, I watch these fights and I care about these little guys that I actually don't care about because they have nothing to do with what makes me money, which is kissing Canelo's ass and Turkey's ass.
Wow.
But let me put him there and pretend like I watch these fights closely and care about them, because that's telling you that I care about you, my friend. And it's a fair take. It's not it's hard to disagree with. I did that once with what's his name? Kosei Tanaka. It looked like he was on a trajectory to be a great small small weight fighter. Then he lost to one of them guys in his next fight.
I have a fight with the Thailand guy.
No, it was one of his own countrymen. And look, the guy he lost to was also an extremely good fighter. It was a good fight. But this is what people are messaging to the fight fans out there when they put them on their pound for pound list. Hopefully he gets some big fights and we see how he stacks up against really big names. Could he go up and challenge Bam Rodriguez someday? I know people want to see
Bam or Inoue. That's the super fights. Yeah.
Look, they're great fights. And Bam and Inoue have already proven it on a level that Inoue hasn't, that Nakatani hasn't quite yet. So if we get to see them, I would love it. It's a great fight. And for the time being, it's fun to watch him take apart these other dudes. Good for him.
Dude, he's a 2-division champion right now. He's fun. He's exciting. He gets hit a little bit, but he's a southpaw, long arms, controls distance well, very explosive. I'm a little late to the Junto party, but I'm coming around. But I got to shout out on this same card, a fantastic fight. Dude, Tenshin Nasukawa, the Japanese kickboxer who broke down in tears after getting stopped by Floyd Mayweather in that exhibition fight in which he just kept getting hammered out. He's now 5-0 as a boxer. He just beat Jason Maloney in a 10-round war on Monday morning of the famous Maloney twins, who tend to get sent when they step up to the highest level, but they're game, man. They're hard blokes. Dude, that was fun. Should we be following Tenshin a little bit more closer, or is that too hardcore for our level?
Probably a little too hardcore, but I'm happy to see it. I remember that Floyd exhibition, and him just getting sent with the left hook real early. I remember Richard Dwyer talking about how Floyd still has the greatest left hook in boxing, all this stuff. And I remember Tenshin's terrible dyed hair. I don't know what it looks like today. It looks like he committed himself to the sport and is having a real, look, if you beat a Maloney brother, that means you're basically a contender at whatever weight they're fighting.
118.
So it was a bantamweight. Yeah, like that. That's great. Good for him. He could be a champion in both kickboxing and he could do what Nicky Holtzkin, the great kickboxing,
the famous European DJ. Yes.
What he was not able to achieve in boxing.
We'll see if this man Junto ends up in my top 10 pound for pound when I write it later today. Not that anyone out there has any care level to a mythical rankings per Rafe.
Well, the good thing is people do care. They love it. Gets the people going. That's the easiest way. You get some engagement on that. People start yelling at each other. It's very, very effective.
And shout out to Latinx Heat, who's saying shout out to Dwyer. And then we got more Dwyer on the timeline here. He's right. The only guy who can beat Floyd Mayweather is a younger Floyd Mayweather. Hey, let's get into whether Rafe Boogs cares about this weekend. Spoiler or not spoiler, give us a spoiler. Do you think you will care about this weekend?
I think no.
Well,
right. Are you going to be there?
I'll be there Saturday night on the call.
All right, I care. I take it back. I care.
Abner Morris, Brian Custer, Brian Campbell. I mean, this is Joe Goosen. This is an all-star squad. But let's start.
Effing get inside on that card, Brian. You better effing get inside.
I better. Friday night on Days In from Gatineau, Canada, main event, Eduardo Rocky Hernandez and Rene Tellez Giron. 12 rounds, junior lightweights. Do you care?
I do. I like Rocky Hernandez a lot, and that's a good and that Giron guy. I've seen him fight before too.
Really? I didn't expect this from you.
I think that'll be a fun fight. That'll be worth finding on the internet someday.
Okay, will you find a stream for this fight Friday in Astana, Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan forever.
Ali Akhmedov, the Tom Loeffler promoted super middleweight, has a 10-round main event against the dried husk of Maciej Sulecki. Dude, you got to be in on this.
That's a Tim Boxeo pick. I will be looking for the highlights somewhere on Twitter.
Okay, Saturday, PBC on Prime pay-per-view, ppv.com as well. Brooklyn, New York, the Barclays. It's a big one. Gervonta Tank Davis is back, 9-month layoff, taking on amateur rival Lamont Roach Jr., the 130-pounder who won a split decision thanks to a final round knockdown against the same Hector Luis Garcia, who 8 months earlier was knocked out and actually briefly blinded by Tank Davis in that fight. I don't want to start at the top. I want to start a little bit down on the bottom to check your care level. In the main event of the prelim card airing for free, whether you're a subscriber or not, on Prime Video, former unified 154 champ Jarrett Swift Hurd, fresh off of his Pro Box draw against Banana, will take on Johan Gonzalez, 10 rounds middleweights. Do you care?
I'm always curious to see how low Hurd has sunk.
Or maybe he bounces back here.
Yeah, right. We'll see it.
He's not. Yeah, right, Jeffrey. He's not dead.
Yeah, right, Jeffrey. Yeah, right, Jarrett.
In the first fight of the pay-per-view card, I like 154 Cuban prospect Yoenis Tellez. He'll be taking on former unified champion Julian J. Rock Williams. 12 rounds for the vacant WBA interim 154 title. It basically means the winner gets a title shot. I don't know if you've seen Tellez. He was in the co-main event of that Tim Tszyu fight I called when he got knocked out last fall. J-Rock, he got stopped by Adames challenging for the middleweight title. This is back down at 54. What do you expect to care as I call this fight?
Sure, I do care because you're calling it, and because I'm like with Jarrett Hurd. I'm always I'm curious to check the levels of the J Wash to see if he is completely there yet.
Oh my God! I mean, people are just shouting you out left and right. I mean, don't be a blank, okay? You're really gonna act this way, okay? You got to be.
I've looked at a lot of guys, washed.
Yes, you have
many guys, washed guys.
All right, our undercard.
These are them.
A pair of title bouts at 140 pounds. In the first one, two-time champion Alberto Puello, who gave Gary Antoine Russell his first defeat last year by split decision to win the vacant title, will defend his WBC 140 title against difficult Spanish boxer Sandor Martin. Do you have interested expectations in this one?
Sandor Martin, why does this keep happening? No more Sandor Martin.
Dude, he gave Teo. He made Teo look in the mirror.
He's going to make everyone look bad, and no one is going to be happy for the experience. Good for you, Sandor Martin. You are the best. You're probably like the best spoiler since McDonald's, Miguel Vasquez, and
Brian Vera.
Brian Vera was a spoiler
for a bit. Right.
No, I mean, he upset the apple cart, but he would bang.
I was in Verona when he upset Sergey Zinzaruk on Friday Night Fights. Okay?
I don't mean like an underdog who wins, spoiler. I mean someone who is going to come in and junk up a fight and make it borderline unwatchable. And you're just like, well, that guy knows what he's doing. He's a tough out. That is you, Sandor Martin, and I bet you will do it again. I hope you are not rewarded on the scorecards for it. I care because it's a meaningful fight between high-level fighters. But goddamn, go back to Spain, man. Go. I don't know. Go back to Spain.
Wow. Go find sexy Sergio.
Yeah.
Right?
That was a guy who trained and fought in Spain with panache. Panache.
He did. The co-main event is a good one. Jose El Rayo Valenzuela, who upset Pitbull Cruz last August to win a 140 title, will defend that WBA strap against Gary Antoine Russell. Like Puello versus Martin, the odds are very close. Puello, a very small betting favorite, but this is a virtual pick'em. Russell minus 110, Valenzuela minus 115, according to DraftKings. Look, I like Gary Antoine Russell. He didn't climb the mountain against Puello. He had a big opportunity, lost a split decision. This could be an action fight here. This really could, even though Valenzuela outboxed Pitbull. I think Gary Antoine Russell is going to make him fight.
Yeah, well, this is set up for Gary Antoine Russell to win. We got a guy who upset Pitbull, who wasn't supposed to win that fight. Now he gets his opportunity, in the co-main. Good for him. But this is basically a get well fight that hopefully Gary Antoine Russell takes advantage of.
And then maybe rematches Puello if he beats Sandor Martin to unify.
I'm sure. Yeah. Look, we're trying to get that belt back in his hands as PBC. Let me be the voice of PBC. We're trying to get that belt back to Gary.
I got to call Mr. Cancer to find the real answer. Okay. But he won't answer. He won't answer. Okay. But main event, Tank Davis is back. He is a big betting favorite, but Lamont Roach, the one loss in a title bout into Jamel Herring in 2019, said it turned his career around. He learned all the lessons he needed. And as I mentioned, he went in there against Hector Garcia, scored a late round knockdown, won a split decision. He's only fought once a year for the past 3 years, and it's always been due to boxing politics. He had to wait out Garcia pulling out of the fight, pausing the fight to fight Tank. Rafe, you have been down on Roach's chances, but I interviewed him on this here YouTube channel. The dude's confident as hell. He fought Tank twice in the amateurs and lost, but most recently was at 15 years old when they were 1-2 in the nation. Roach was a decorated amateur. He's got a nice, well-rounded game to him. He's believing with full heart, body, mind, and soul that this is going to be a tough out. And I've got to say, there are a lot of people inside boxing who are saying, look, maybe it's not the sexiest Tank opponent, but this is not an easy fight. You seem to think it's an easy fight. Talk to me.
Did he speak it, believe it, receive it to you, Brian?
I hope he did. Okay. Till this day. All right.
Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Look, he is a completely respectable, good opponent. The history they have is meaningful. He's going to make a good accounting of himself in the ring. Sure. He does not offer much to win a fight against Tank Davis. I think that, maybe there's a chance Tank goes easy on him because they have history. They have some mutual respect. It's the kind of thing where, let's just coast to the end of this fight, kind of the way we'd see Floyd do at certain points in his career against opponents who just weren't really on his level. I just sure, they were 1-2 when they were 15 years old. You know what has happened?
0-2.
What? They were what? 0-2?
He lost both to Tank as an amateur.
Oh, I see. So he lost as an amateur also.
He lost twice to Tank as an amateur, but they kind of grew up because even though Roach is from DC, he grew up in Upper Marlboro, Maryland.
Okay.
Tank from Baltimore. They knew each other their whole lives. He's not intimidated by him at all. And would you say that even though we poo-poo, they fought in sparring or he won an amateur fight when they were 12, dude, that mattered in Haney Garcia that they had that amateur experience.
I mean, the steroids also might have mattered in that fight, and the coming in overweight and all
or
of
that beer that he faked drinking. That shit was good, he said on the scale. All right.
Might as well drink the beer, Ryan. Like, you've been drinking all week. God knows what other drugs are in your system.
Okay.
You can handle a brewski, bro.
Well, let me ask you this: if this changes anything. To be fair, Tank has spoken more about retiring, not wanting to fight, maybe only having 2 or 3 fights left, the need and the want to do therapy, to not be this guy anymore and to grow as a human. Does any of that matter in this? Is he focused? I mean, It is a different Tank. It is.
This is look, I love him as a fighter. I think he's so good. I don't know if I'm ready to sign on to his journey of personal growth and improvement. Like, this is also the guy I, saw walk across a basketball court on video and strong arm some woman.
Very true.
The guy who was involved and had to, sort of do time for a really bad hit and run accident.
Well, he violated his house arrest. That's why he had to do time. But yes, the hit and run started it. Yes.
Right. So anyway, good luck to him in his personal journey and all that growth that he wants down the line. I do think there is a real trap fight aspect to this matchup because they have history. They know each other on some, and Tank's professional career has been about as good as it can be, both commercially and in the ring. And Lamont Roach hasn't achieved at that same level yet. And everyone is sort of treating it like, a fight that, look, Tank needs to get in the ring. This guy was available. He can make a decent narrative behind it. He's a respectable, good boxer who's not going to get blown out immediately, probably. Like, sure, might as well. It's the best we could do right now. And because of that, there is a chance of overlooking Roach, of just sort of half-assing it throughout the fight. Tank, for all of his talent, is not the most consistent fighter we've seen in recent years of the stars of the sport. We've seen him take his foot off the gas or look flat on occasions and that might be because it's hard to get up for some of the fights that he is. I mean, that's, I guess, the downside of running your career in the way where you're really taking risk reward, making the most of your risk reward night in and night out, like I think you could say he's done on many occasions. In any case, there's trap fight potential here. And I think that is something that you got to watch out for. But still, even if it's a trap fight, I don't think you're getting the scorecards against him in this, because you're not going to I don't think Roach is going to put enough distance between them. Even if he has the fight of his life, it's going to be a close fight, and and Tank will get the benefit of the doubt.
Well, can I posit a scenario for you?
Please.
This fight's in Brooklyn. What if Danny Jacobs shows up, sits on Tank's side of the ring? I mean, could that have? I mean, and they dab on the way. No, I'm sorry. Okay. That's
You're gonna need to talk to our boy from Rough Buff, Lionel Thompson.
Yes,
for that. Yes.
I wondered. I would actually wait. You wouldn't be interested in getting him on this show to talk about the second and third Equalizer movies? Right?
I would. Yes, because this is a boxer. Lionel Thompson watches the Equalizer every night of his life
and lost a girlfriend because of it,
right? Because she wasn't down with it, and he's like, I can't, like this is more important to me than what this movie. And you know what I really want to do? I hope I haven't watched the Queen Latifah TV show The Equalizer yet, but yeah, I'm hoping that he has seen it and he's just gonna light it up, be like,
that woman judge,
she should not step into Denzel's shoes. Yes, let's do it. Let's talk. I won't jack.
How was he as a personality?
I jacked yesterday, but I won't jack tomorrow.
Yeah, well, you jack off it. Does he sound like
I jack
endearably? Wow, that we've got a branded version of that. If you're interested, I don't think we have a store anymore though.
I have a deodorant stick that I use for jacking. Yes,
we've got I've got the Jerkins dude wipes too. Also, I got to ask you, what were we talking about?
Jacking. Roach and Tank.
Oh, Lionel Thompson. Was he? Well, we were definitely talking about jacking. So thank you, bruh. I got to ask you, and yes, Lionel Thompson beat Uzcategui and then never boxed again, which is typical. Hank Williams, are you from Connecticut? You have a lot of Connecticut related posts. I don't know. I was going to ask you if Thompson was like endurably crazy on the phone. Like, was it like is he charmingly off kilter, or is he? What, like, how is he?
Super charming, good stories. I mean, he's a fun person to talk to about Betterbiev also, because he's been one of Arthur's main sparring partners for almost every camp. And he gives Betterbiev credit for making him like a better fighter, he just lavishes praise on him, and also talks about how difficult he is to spar. And good storyteller, funny, good sense of humor. Like athletes have to be. Can get a little bit touchy about his losses, and it has a lot of, can rattle off every reason why he didn't get the chances he deserved, and the fights that he lost he should have won, and this and that. But he's a joy to talk to.
Thank you, Hank Williams, for where are you from in Connecticut, Hank Williams? I want to interview him. Maybe we get him ahead of the third Bivol fight.
That would be, or whenever Betterbiev's back in the ring.
All right. Well, I'm going to be calling these fights this Saturday. I hope you tune in. PBC on Prime pay-per-view. Tank, if he wins, who do you predict he faces in the second half of 25?
Well, let's be optimistic. Shakur says he wants that fight. Let's make it. I don't care who puts up the money, who gets the money. Let's I would love to see that fight happen. They both do need it. They both have, look like some of the top fighters of their generation, but especially in Shakur's case, and to some degree in Tank's case, could use another marquee win on their resumes. And that's the kind of fight that will inject a lot of casual interest in the sport. They have big followings from big areas in the United States. It's the kind of thing that we'd love to see. Shit, make it happen. They both want it, so let's step up and make it happen.
I'm with you. In one day, Davis versus Davis. Keyshawn.
Hell yes, yeah.
Let's go. This was great, Rafe. I got one more thing to close with here. Hank Williams had asked earlier, did you guys watch Jim Lampley's tear-soaked interview with Ariel yesterday in the studio? Lamps was literally crying the entire interview. That's what he does. The interview was tied to Lamps's new memoir. coming out. Will you read it?
Does he read the audio? Does he cry through the audiobook? Like how many times does his voice crack if he read his own audiobook?
Because we love the man. He is the voice of our boxing youth.
He is the voice of our boxing youth and the greatest nights, whatever. I give him all the credit for that. You love the man.
I mean, yes, I do. Did you? I don't believe that you heard him on that Skinhead show, but he did say on there, because I don't know if you saw that tweet from Turkey that he said he'd love to bring Jim to a Saudi card. That never went anywhere, but Jim went back on I want to do play-by-play. I only haven't done play-by-play because nobody has asked me of significance, right? Because he had that flirt with Triller for the Teofimo fight.
I think I may have like hounded him out of that with some caustic tweets that got to him.
Very possible. And he says, I want to. Do you see Turkey doing an alt? Because on DAZN, you could have picked the UK announcers this time, the US announcers with Grisham and Mora and Mannix. I think you could have picked the True Geordie live stream, the other one with Showbiz the Adult. If they bring back, I mean, it's not like money matters to Turkey. If he brings back Jim Lampley and Max, will that be a thing? Like, will everyone buy that version? Or could you see DAZN or even this TKO UFC crossover boxing thing they're going to start? Do you see Jim Lampley calling a fight play-by-play in the next year? Do you
call
want
that
to see
man?
that?
Look, I would listen. I'm sure he would do a good job. He is still the voice that tells me that a fight matters more than anyone else's voice until Brian Campbell kind of takes over that spot. Yeah, it's coming. It's going to happen. So I would listen. I would enjoy it. Whatever. I'd even get a little nostalgic for it. But you know what? First of all, you amnesiac, internet addled brain MFer. We talked about this exact thing last week. And second of all,
you were like non-committal and you didn't care. And now Jim Lampley put the bat call out there in the interview. He's like, I still want to do it. I want to prove that I can still do it. Will I be as good as I used to? Probably not, but I want to show that I could be blah, blah, blah. I have 40 years of experience, blah, blah, blah. He's pushing for it.
There is one awkward element to this, and that is that Jim Lampley, in my mind, is one of the biggest sort of concern trolls in boxing. Like, he loves to go on and take the moral high ground. And it's going to be very hard for him to go, look, Jim, if you're going to try and go over to Riyadh and play some moral high ground, start talking about Jamal Khashoggi on a card, don't say no. Don't take the money, because you ain't getting back. You ain't getting back on that plane, Jim. Cry some tears with Jamal over here and don't do it.
Okay, so Jim obviously has been showing up the last year and a half at Vegas pay-per-views for ppv.com, and he's doing all the media rounds. I interviewed him there for Morning Combat, and he's been very outspoken against Turkey, not like a grudge or anything, just sort of like, I'm skeptical. But he did say on the program that the Turkey tweet about him made him feel good, and now he would like to meet Turkey. So I think Jim's just at a point where he's willing to pause his politics because he wants to get back in the booth. And I wouldn't blame him after doing it for so long and then it's over.
See, I would blame him because he's like, you want to cry that much. You want to talk about Roy Jones's life and his brain and all that. You want to act like he's not a grown ass man who can make his own decisions, even though he's your friend who you sat next to. He's your equal. He's greater than you in every motherfucking way.
Whoa.
Yes. You want to go out there and talk about all this like moral stuff. You cannot I will be talking shit about that if he does it.
Bartholomew 316 says, I just whooped your ass. That's what I think just happened right here. Thank you very much. All right. That's the show, Rafe. We gave it to them this week. We put it in their face.
In the box.
Inside the box. Inside the damn box. Did you see that earlier thing that Joette's going to headline a Pro Box card? Do you watch Pro Box?
No. What is it?
It's like a Wednesday night program.
Is that the Pauly one?
Pauly, Jimmy Smith, Algieri.
Joette Gonzalez, the one with the girl with the sister. Well, good for him.
I think Pro Box won a purse bid for Erickson Lubin against Ardriel Holmes. I think they did.
So the bid means that no one was willing to pay for it, right?
I don't know. Maybe I made that up. Anyway, that's the show for this week. Rafe, they can follow you at Rafe Bugs. You're one of the classiest, saltiest boxing
So
people I've
glad.
ever met.
We really class it up today, like we always do. I'm happy to bring so much class.
Do you have anything to say to these people?
Yeah, everybody, yo, check out today an episode of Brian's Meadowlark Media colleague, friend, broham, Pablo Torre. His show, Pablo Torre Finds Out, dropped today an episode. It's sort of a peek into my other life where I'm semi-respectable. And the story and subject that has animated some of my favorite writing and all of that stuff. We did an episode about the Philippine Basketball Association, which for the past 6 months or so has become the first pro league in the world to have a 4-point line at 27 feet.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So we talked to, I was the correspondent on that episode, got in there. Pablo and his producers cut it up, made it look good, made me not look like a fool and like someone who can speak well on camera, which if you watch this show, you know I can't. So thank you very much to them for doing that and for showing interest in something that you don't need to convince me is something worth focusing on and caring about and watching, which is Philippine basketball. But it's on the other side of the world, and that's usually not how media works here. So I loved how the show turned out, and if you're curious about it, go watch that.
I'm curious. Maybe people will pick up Pacific Rims. It's a love story to basketball.
Amen.
In the Philippines. Yeah, great stuff, dude. And those producers, that guy Ken, Nadir, those are my guys. Those are my guys.
I mean, the class act from start to finish there, which is exactly what I would expect from the folks who work alongside the likes of Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas and who smell their farts in the same studio and blowing.
And I raid that kitchen, dude. That kitchen in there, they have the most expensive products ever in that kitchen. Like they have bags of popcorn that are $12 each. They have $6 cans of soda. It's incredible.
Wow, shit. I missed it.
It's good stuff. Anyway, that's the show for this week. That's Rafe Bugs. You're going to be really employed soon. I feel like great stuff is coming to your life.
Yeah, this is once they discover me here, it's straight to the top.
Yeah, this will probably be our last show. But hey, we had a great run. All right, check me out on Saturday night. Tank Roach. That's Rafe Bugs on BC. Thanks for being a jacker, a candy licker. Shout out to the 80K crew, the Irish crew. Shout out to all the jackers out there. Yeah, that's about all we got. 2 more words, maybe.
We out.
I think